Today's session is on changing role of teachers by Dr. Sanjay Kavishwar sir. I request Dr. Jichkar to please introduce our today's speaker.
Thank you, madam. A very good morning and warm welcome from JIT MBA team. It's a pleasure to introduce Dr. Sanjay Kavishwar. He is a veteran in the field of academics with his PhD in business economics, MBA finance, MA economics, and MCom with flying colors. He is professor at Tirupudi Institute of Management Education. He has crossed many roadblocks to update the recent thoughtful designing of the MBA syllabus by virtue of his position as Chairman Board of Studies in Business Management, RTM Nagpur University. He is an approved guide and 8 students are awarded PhD under his able guidance. Sir has plethora of research publications to his credit, along with publications of 3 books. He has successfully co-authored and edited 3 books in business management and business environment. In the university fora, he is dispelling his duties as paper setter, moderator, evaluator, resource person in many orientation and refresher courses conducted. He is also member of Academic Council of Nagpur University. So let us prepare ourselves for the eye-opening or ear-pinching session, a very interesting one for all of us as teachers, and the topic is changing the role of teachers. So I welcome you, sir, Sanjay Kavishwar sir, and to address our participants. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Surega ma'am. Normally, in these kind of sessions, your introduction actually sets a kind of impossible benchmarks for you, and that is a problem. Anyway, good morning to everyone. At the outset, I would like to congratulate the Jhulelal Institute of Technologies for organizing this online FDP. And what I came to know that more than 1,000 participants have registered, which is actually very encouraging in this particular time, whereas there is a general impression is that the people have got bored of webinars and all. The amount of webinar invitations that are dropped in the WhatsApp inbox every day is phenomenal. And in the light of this, if you are getting a registration of more than 1,000, it is actually encouraging. So congratulations to the entire team, and thank you for inviting me to share my views on the role of teachers for this particular seminar. As expected by Dr. Surekha Jichkar, eye-opening and ear-pinching session. Yeah, it is definitely going to be that because I cannot speak anything beyond that. So whatever it is, all going to be introspection based. No, actually very different kind of input you should expect. But yeah, there is definitely going to be change in the role of teachers, and it is a change of not a function, but it is going to be a change of the perception. We are not expected to do in the coming time something that is radically different. But yeah, definitely we are expected to do the same things in a radically different way. The way things are moving, we need to change our approaches. That is what we are going to talk about. I'll carry my session in a particular sequence, starting with the purpose of teaching. If I give you 1 minute, this is the challenge posed by online education. Had it been a session in a classroom, I would have given you a kind of assignment, and you you could be asked to write something. But definitely we can try, even if now in an online session, if I ask you to write 5 expectations of your students from you as a teacher in a minute. If we take it as an assignment, we what my student is expecting from me as a teacher. So what comes foremost? Subject knowledge. That is the first thing that comes to our mind. So we are imparting knowledge. That is the primary job that we are doing, or we are supposed to do. Okay. Let me share my presentation first, so that. Okay. Uh, the purpose of teaching is sharing knowledge. Is the purpose of teaching, because we have been told something like this, or we probably have created our perception like this, that we are here to share knowledge. The another perception that we normally derive out of our experiences and observations is that we are here to build a new generation. Some broader perspective, purpose of the teaching. That's what we normally talk about. And hence we call this profession as a motherly profession. This is the profession which is considered as mother of all professions, whether it is engineering or medicines or pharmacy or architecture, any profession for that matter. We consider ourselves as we are engaged in a motherly profession. We build generations. We build good citizens, good human beings. Education, as it is very commonly defined, that it is a manifestation of perfection that exists within. So I just would like to quote Swami Vivekananda here, who used to teach that you cannot teach a child more than you grow a plant. Actually, you don't grow a plant. What you do is you create an environment for a plant to grow. The seed already exists. What you ensure its nourishment, whether it is getting adequate amount of water, whether it is getting adequate amount of air, whether it is getting sunlight, is it getting infected, etc., etc., etc. Then use pesticides, etc., etc. And the plant grows on its own. The potential of the plant is existing there in the seed, and we are just providing it the right kind of environment. Teaching is the same thing. It is a manifestation of the perfection that exists within the person. You are not making a student perfect. We are not at all making him perfect. He is already perfect. The only thing is that the perfection that exists within him, we are manifesting. We are here to provide the right amount of environment to a student so that he can excel, he can bring better changes. What purpose of teaching is normally claimed as, it is creating knowledge, awareness, and feelings. And the most important thing is that teacher is expected to bring a behavioral change in the taught. Again, the question is, do we ensure this? Is it happening or not? If in our task we had the first point, that is knowledge sharing, is it happening? As a teacher, do we actually observe the behavior of a student? Behavior in terms of its academic performance, behavior in terms of his sense of responsibility, whether towards the environment, towards the peer, towards the society, etc., etc. If that is being done, then we are doing justice to our job. So that is what is the purpose of teaching is. Let us have a systematic view of the environment that we work within, the teaching learning environment that we work within is having many factors. We have students, we have curriculum, we have support facilities like physical infrastructure, technological infrastructure. Then we have our management, which we normally refer to as governors. Then we have society for which we are working, wherein our students as an outcome will going to work in the society. Here you have industry, etc., everything. And the regulators, what we call government. Now just have a look at this uh, entire factors of teaching learning environment. There are very few things on which we have control. Majority of the things are beyond our control as an individual teacher, not as a society. As an individual teacher, I am an employee of the Tirupati Institute of Management Education. You are an employee of X institution or Y university. As a teacher, what kind of control do you have on all these factors? It is very less, minimal, or no control in majority of the things. So the point is that we are expected to deliver the best. We are expected to deliver the best. समाज बनाना है बोलते हैं आपको. And what do we have in our hands? Student whom to be given admission is determined by someone else. What is to be taught is determined by university in majority of the cases. At what fees the student is to be taught is determined by someone else. Fee regulation authority or something of that sort. Management has its own ways. Assessment is to be done by the university. And then what do we have? What do we have in our hands? We have very less things in our hand. Still, I have a strong view that we are indispensable and our role is crucial. Crucial in a sense, we are working in an environment on which we do not have any control and still we have to perform. Now, in the light of this COVID pandemic and all of a sudden mushrooming of online resources, etc., I mean, many teachers are having a threat that our existence is at stake. That is what is a normal feeling. If classroom teaching goes out, what will we do? Let me assure you, classroom teaching cannot go. You just cannot do away with classroom teaching. So be assured that there will be classroom teaching, and no matter what new technologies crop up, no matter what new changes take place, the teacher is indispensable. Teacher is indispensable. You cannot dispense with the teachers. वो रहेगा. That is definitely there. You have online books, you have online material, everything you have. You cannot do away with the teacher. That is the primary role of a teacher. Now, in a very short, I'll just go through this and then I'll come to the focus area of this particular topic. I mean, all this will have the references in the next slides. Hence, I'm just mentioning it. This is an ideal teaching process that we have. That is our role. You have a teacher, you have a message, you have taught. A teacher is required to be well prepared. A teacher is required to have no communication barriers at all. No communication barriers. language is the most important thing. Many people have have a strong opinion that a classroom, class is to be conducted in this particular language, that particular language. I have a different opinion on this, frankly speaking. If my class doesn't understand, what is the point in speaking? If they are not able to understand X language or Y language, whether it is English or Hindi or Marathi or Urdu or whatever it is, or Spanish for that matter, I need to speak in the language which my class understands. Majority of my class understands. Then my approach, my attitude in the class is again going to be a barrier, communication barrier. So I need to take care of all these. My message, the kind of message that I give in the class, is it clear, accurate, specific, objective? That I need to ensure. And what do I look at my student? What kind of input or what kind of change I need to see in my student? That he needs to be receptive, sensitive, and motivated. Are we following these ideals? This is not rocket science. This is not rocket science. Okay. These things of teaching learning environment and teaching processes have been discussed for years, maybe for centuries. But the point is that, do we practice this? Do I ensure that whatever I speak in the class is clear, accurate, brief, and specific every time I go to the class? Because I have to take one particular topic, one particular session thrice a day, if my institute has 3 divisions. So in the second class, it is diluted. In the third class, it is again diluted. I tend to forget that I am teaching to this third class for the first time. Is it happening or not? So do we follow these ideals? That again needs to be checked. Now coming to the teacher's role, we normally talk about these 3 things. What do I do as a teacher? My role is in content, my role is in delivery, and my role is in assessment. These are the 3 primary areas that I deal with. What is my primary role other than academics? As we started with knowledge sharing as the purpose of the teaching. Okay. What is my primary role? My primary role is to ensure holistic development of the student. That is the primary role of teacher. Now, while doing this, these are the 3 weapons that I have got to ensure holistic development of the student. Content, as we already have mentioned, and we all know that content is, as an individual teacher, I have very limited control on the contents, because it is being designed by someone else. Maybe the board of studies, maybe the academic council, maybe the institute's governing body, maybe some committee in different environments, different authorities govern the content. As a teacher, do I have control on the content that I deliver? It is very less. But delivery, yes. Delivery is the most critical area which only teacher can work on. Only teacher can work on. Here, no one else is going to interfere. No one is allowed to interfere. In my class, when I enter the class, the way I talk, what I talk, how much do I talk, how much do I listen, what kind of questions I ask, everything is to be controlled by me and me only as a teacher. Even the principal of the institute, for any institution for that matter, or head of the department or vice chancellor in case of university, doesn't have any right to interfere in. Hence, in my opinion, delivery is the most critical factor from a teacher's viewpoint. Because again, in case of assessment is governed by a set of rules. We all know what is happening these days. We all know what is happening. Every other day, some minister is coming up with a statement, and then it is going to be contradicted by some other authority. UGC says X, a Ministry of HRDC says Y, and all that is happening. Again, having all these things in the frame, you have a set of rules according to which assessment is to be done. Again, we need to understand the difference between the assessment and evaluation. What we normally refer them as synonyms, but they are not synonyms. They have a different connotations. Assessment is different and evaluation is different. What we normally talk about or what we normally do is not an assessment. Trust me on this, is not an assessment. It is an evaluation. You try to judge the student. We primarily try to judge the student, and we are not assessing students. Let us have a look at our school and college days when we were taught. And I mention it as teachers who taught us. If you read this slide, I mean, I have tried to write it in a little different way. I hope you'll understand all this. I mean, that is how our teachers used to behave. Know what I know, do what I do, feel what I feel, think what I think. That is what, in majority of the cases, few people might be having some different kind of experience, some different kind of teachers. But my generation people, their teachers more or less in all disciplines, you find this. Now the question is, have they done anything wrong? कुछ गलत किया है उन्होंने? Have they raised us in a wrong manner? And if not, if we all give our successes credit to our teachers, then it is very, very clear that they haven't done anything wrong. They were absolutely right while doing this. They have shared the knowledge, they have ensured skill development, they have sensitized us, and they have inculcated critical thinking capabilities in us, if at all we haven't. So if this is the situation with our teachers, then actually have things changed? Has anything changed? We as a student, we now try to judge or rate our student. You need to try to go back 25 years ago or 20 years ago, as your age may be, and try to find out, was I a similar kind of student? The amount of sincerity that I expect from a student, did I have it? I need to understand this. And hence, I would like to raise a question that, has anything changed? Nothing has changed, in my opinion. Nothing has changed. The environment, the kind of classroom that you used to get or I used to get, was not having this kind of ambience. That is the thing that has changed. The approach of teacher has changed. Student doesn't have changed. Student doesn't change. Student is the same. Many a times people, I normally come to know these things. Nowadays, students don't respect their teachers. They don't respect their teachers. The kind of respect that we used to give to our teachers, we are not getting the same one. Let me correct you on this, or let me correct all those who think like this. Our students also respect us. The only difference is that their expression of respect has changed. You just contradict your child's teacher and see the reaction of a child. You will understand whether today's student respects teacher or not. The teacher has taught a particular concept in X way to your child and you contradict it. कि ये ऐसा नहीं, गलत पढ़ाया तेरे को, ये ऐसे नहीं, ये ऐसा है. The child will say no, teacher is right. When the child says teacher is right, which means child respects teacher. It is as simple as that. And hence I say nothing has changed. We as a teacher has changed. When we get into the position of a teacher, we set different benchmarks for our students. And hence we find things demotivating or not so encouraging or being deteriorated. That is the problem. The problem is not with the children. The problem is primarily with our approach. Now, as Jiskar Madam expected, let us look into the mirror. Let us look into the mirror. These are the roles that we normally play or we are expected to play. We are expected to share knowledge, we are expected to assess students, we are expected to conduct research, we are expected to mentor our students. And what do we do in a classroom? Do we share knowledge or do we pass the information? That is a serious question. I am not criticizing any ex-teacher or Y teacher here. I am talking about the generation, this generation teachers, including myself. Do we have this objective or agenda every time we enter the class that I am here to share the knowledge? Or majority of the times I have an agenda to complete the class. If this is happening, then I am just passing the information. Will it create any value? It won't create any value. It won't create any value. In case of assessment, we normally, as I have said, am I allowed to take the questions right now? Swati ma'am? Because people are raising hands. People are raising hands.
No, they can put their questions in that question answer.
Okay. No issues. So, what we actually do in classroom is important, as I earlier mentioned, that delivery is going to be a critical factor. It is normally said that no matter how good your plan is, if you are not good at implementation, the plan is ruined. Same is happening to the curriculum. No matter how good curriculum is, if we are not able to deliver it in an expected way, it will not yield the desired outcomes. And hence, what happens in classroom is of immense importance. What do we do in evaluation? In first place, let me distinguish between assessment and evaluation. That assessment is actually a gathering of evidence whether the learning has taken place or not. Assessment is not related to grading the students. It has nothing to do with the grade of the students. 70%, 60% distinction, फर्स्ट क्लास, सेकंड क्लास, A प्लस, B माइनस, इसका कोई संबंध नहीं होता है असेसमेंट से. असेसमेंट is not there to judge the students or to grade the students rather. Okay. Assessment is actually gathering of evidence whether the learning has taken place. I have explained a particular concept in the class. Whether that concept is being understood in the right way or not, that I need to know from the students. The activity that I do to find it out is called assessment. So assessment is a mere gathering of evidence. Evaluation is grading students. And how do we do it? We all know for sure, in majority of the cases, how do we do it? The way we conduct examinations. Majority of the universities, Indian universities specifically, obviously, and state universities, to be more precise, because majority of the stakeholders are in the state university, public university pattern. So majority of the public universities have this 80-20 component. 80-20 component. I mean, in a 3-hour test or 2-hour test, we try to judge the students' learnings throughout the year or throughout the semester. Is it fair to the student? Definitely not. Definitely not. The concurrent evaluation, जिसको हम बोलते हैं, that is internal assessment, we normally refer to it as, has got a very, very limited role. And again, a question is there that how it is being done. So that again needs to be relooked at. The third one is research. Why do we do research? I normally avoid to talk on research in these kind of sessions, etc., because it's a pain point. Why do we do research? To add value to my CV. Number one. Number two, to get good API score. Teaching and research goes together. That is normally said. And the reason is, when I do research, I carry out research, I share my research or the outcomes of my research or the addition of value with my students. The question is it happening or not? I'll just leave this question open. So, because research is conducted for contributing to the existing body of knowledge. If a particular faculty member has published 20 research papers, can he claim that this is the value that I have added to the existing body of knowledge? Can it be claimed? Maybe in certain cases, 5-10%, yes, it is there. And in certain cases, it is not there. You just try and understand. If you probably are aware what has happened to this hydroxychloroquine. The research paper published by Lancet was challenged, and the authors are not ready to share the primary data. Now you can understand, it's a 200-old journal. This is what we are doing to research. The fourth major role that we are performing as of now is student mentoring, or we are expected to do that. That is, we probably are in position to do justice to the students. But the objective is to make his life better, to make his focus clear, to clear his doubts, to help him in choosing right career, to help him in the solving his day-to-day problems. Because students these days do not have outlets. A teacher is normally seen as an outlet these days. So that also needs to be relooked at. This is our present dynamics of higher education, that we are working in these conditions. If you look at this, all these are threats. All of these are threats. We, as we already have mentioned, and people have this problem. Okay. Plenty choices of learning resources. Plenty, yeah. When I was a student, or आप में से भी कई लोग होंगे, book was the only source of knowledge and teacher was the only source of knowledge. Okay. Now teacher probably is the last resort. When you don't find anything else, then you try to reach out to the teacher, because there are things which are available at a click of a mouse or nowadays at the tip of the finger. These are the learning resources, those are available. Swayam aa gaya hai and MOOCs hai and all that is happening. We normally try to find lack of motivation in students. Yes, that is the biggest challenge, one of the biggest challenge. Why is it so is a domain of psychology, but we always can try to find out why is it happening? Why is it happening? Because the amount of comfort that they are raised with could be one of the reasons. The temptation for easy success could be one of the reasons, and there could be 100 more reasons that can be talked about. Unreasonable importance of assessment. Yes. Everything is assessment oriented. Everything is assessment oriented. कितने marks मिले, what grades you have got, what percentage we have got, it has become unreasonably important. And what you have learned is the least bothered thing. Is the least bothered things. What you have learned is not important, and how much you have scored has become more important. Every act is accreditation oriented. Pardon me for saying this. Okay. This accreditation thing has actually was expected to bring quality to the education, but the over-regulation has spoiled the show. Because we less focus on the student and we more focus on the paper. You enter the class, ask the student about the feedback, listen to them for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, understand what are their problems. That is effective feedback. What do we do instead? We design a form and we hand it over to the student. More than half of the students don't even understand what is written there. I have observed it personally. They don't even understand what is mentioned there. Now, what are we going to do with this kind of data, wherein the respondent doesn't understand the question? I ask the question, let us say, for example, whether the teacher has arranged the lessons in an effective sequence. Now, what is an effective sequence? Become first year का student है, 12th standard का student है. Does he understand the effective arrangement of sequence? Now he will try to judge the teacher on the basis of whether he likes the teacher or not. और पूरा उसके बेसिस पे चलेगा, जैसा हमारे इंटरनल असेसमेंट में होता है. What do we do in internal assessment? We have 4 or 5 different criteria. 5 marks on attendance, 5 on presentation, 5 on seminar, 5 on overall performance. But everything is rated on the basis of attendance. That is what this accreditation has brought in. In teaching, paper has been given undue importance. And the moment you make it mandatory, the moment you put it as a regulation, people try to find out easy ways. People will try. Professional development challenges, yes, the amount of unaided institutions is growing like anything. And the institutes have their financial problems, and less focus is paid on the professional development. Even if मैं अपनी बात करता हूँ, as a teacher, how do I take forward my professional development? Who is there to guide me? Who is there to guide me? I mean, 25 years, more than 25 years I've been into teaching, but if I am the same teacher as I was 25 years ago, yes, 25 years ago also I was a popular teacher, and tomorrow also I am a popular teacher. So, what professional development I have made? That needs to be understood. Because unless and until you as a teacher develop professionally, you cannot bring in professionalism in these students, and hence it is needed. We have talked about this curriculum, so I will not repeat it. Yeah, employability is a major concern. In majority of the institute, we normally find दुनिया भर के सर्वेज आते हैं, ठीक है, समटाइम्स HRD मिनिस्ट्री करती है, समटाइम्स कोई एक्सटर्नल एजेंसीज करती है, and there are a lot of surveys throwing up that Indian higher education institutions के graduates, they have lesser amount of employability. Yes, that is a major concern, and it is high time that because we have a crucial role, as I have mentioned. Although we have least control on majority of the things, we are responsible. ये सारा blame हमारे पे आता है. So that is another threat, and this is an answer to that threat, जिसके थीम पर ये वर्कशॉप हो रहा है. That is outcome based assessment, or outcome based education. What is OBE, etc.? I guess most of you are aware of it, or you can find it out otherwise. Okay. I'll just focus on these highlighted things, what students can do, or the qualities they should develop after they are taught. That is outcome based education. What they'll know is not the focus. What they will be able to do is going to be the focus. That is going to be the primary criteria. And when we talk about an expected outcome, there has to be a mechanism to inculcate those skills into the students through curriculum, to ensure the attainment of those or achievement of acquisition of those skills through assessment, and there are required to be a proper required reporting practices which will reinforce this particular thing. There are certain questions that OBE answers, or you can say that there are certain areas which outcome-based education primarily deals with. Okay, what do you want the students to be able to do? This will talk about the skill set. ये skill set की बात करेंगे. He will be able to write a research proposal. He will be able to perform a particular function. He will be able to fix the defective carburetor of the engine. What he will be able to do? He will be able to write a perfect business letter or a flawless business letter. These are the skill sets that we are trying to inculcate into the students. And then comes what is our role as a teacher. Here our role is not as a teacher but as a guide. We are here to help the students in the best possible way to achieve it. Now we need to try and find out what are the problems he is having in achieving these skills or in acquiring these skills. And we need to help him out to acquire these skills. How will you know what they have achieved? This is what is assessment or evaluation. Abhi ki baat. And the fourth thing is very important. How do you close the loop? When you talk about assessment, assessment is to gather the evidence, as I said, whether the student has learned the concept or not. And if out of 60, let us say 20 do not understand it, which means that I need to correct my way of teaching. Do I take pain? Do I put in efforts to do this or not? In OBE, I am expected to do this. Then only OBE will be effective. एक बार आउटकम्स लिख लिए और फिर धड़ल्ले से शुरू हो गए, that is not going to work. That is not going to yield the desired results. In case you want desired results, you need to work on your outcomes again and again. You need to work on your delivery methods again and again. You need to work on your assessment patterns again and again. Every semester, every time, we need to keep on reworking on it. Then only it will yield the desired results. Now, what is expected of a teacher in this particular mechanism? What is expected of a teacher? As we have already seen, we have three primary areas to work: content, delivery, and assessment. I'm coming back to this thing. I'm closing the loop. What changes I need to bring in my personality as a teacher? How do I reskill myself? If I'm going for outcome-based education, then as a teacher, I have to reskill myself. What kind of reskilling do I need? That is what we are talking about, the changing role of a teacher. In terms of content, defining learning outcomes and identifying relevant graduate attributes. The Bloom's taxonomy and all these are the buzzwords these days, and hence I conveniently assume that all of you might have heard about it. If not, please try to find it out. And the apex bodies of higher education in India, whether it is UGC or AICTE or Pharmacy Council of India, they all have floated the graduate attributes for a particular program. Now, these graduate attributes are the traits a student is expected to have on graduation. Example, a student is expected to have problem-solving skill. A student is expected to have, let us say, team working capacities. A student is expected to have, let us say, research-related capacities. Now, these are the graduate attributes. In my particular program, the program that I offer, and during which the course that I teach, what are the relevant graduate attributes I need to understand? I should be able to identify relevant graduate attributes. The course that I teach, let us say I teach managerial economics, or let us say I teach business research or cost accounting. What are the graduate attributes are relevant for this particular area? That I need to understand. I should be able to identify, and then I should be able to define the right learning outcomes. If a student is completing this particular course, what is he expected to be able to do? I repeat, what is he be expected to be able to do? Not to know. Not to know. The student will know this, the student will understand that, the student will explain this. No. That is not outcome-based education. That is not outcome-based education. What he will be able to do, if I teach theory building in a particular, let us say, business research course, will my student be able to write a research proposal or not? That is how you define the learning outcome, whether it is finance or marketing, in any subject for that matter. And what do I need to know? What skill do I need to have to ensure this? I should have a proactive approach. Because in a typical university mechanism, curriculums are not changed unless they are asked to do so. Unless they are asked to do so. And here you need proaction. That is the need of the hour. You need to be proactive. Now again, we will come to the same thing. We don't define it. We are affiliated institute. So our curriculum is defined by the university. But please try and understand what university does or prescribes is minimum. 30 classes for particular course. Direction में लिखा है. Does that mean you should not take more than 30 classes? 2 लाइन लिखा हुआ है, Unit 1. Does that mean you should not learn that? No, that is the minimum that has been prescribed. We need to go beyond that, which will need proactive approach. The another area is delivery. Yes, definitely. The learner-centered approach is need of the hour. Trust me. I'll just give a small example that when I enter the class, we all have this habit to start class with a question. Let us say I'm teaching law of demand, and I start. How many of you have heard law of demand or have studied law of demand or know law of demand? Okay. Or I normally ask the question, let us say, what do you mean by demand? Now, when I ask the question, what do you mean by demand? I am actually encouraging student to remember and not to think. So it is all driven by the kind of questions that you ask, what your student will learn. We are expected to inculcate critical thinking capabilities amongst the students so that he'll be learn more out of outcome-based education. And when there are very small things that we need to make change of, very, very small things. The kind of questions that I ask, the kind of response that I give to the student's question. I mean, instead of asking, what do you mean by demand? I can put it in a different way. I can just put it in a different way. Instead of asking, what do you mean by demand? I can ask him, if the price of a particular commodity, let us say petrol, is increased, will you buy more or less? Now, it's a simple question. If I ask this kind of question, he will be forced to think. What will I do? If the price of a commodity is changed, what will I do? Will I consume more or will I consume less? Now you are forcing student to think. It's a very, very small change that we need to bring into the classroom, but will definitely make a larger impact, very, very big impact. The approach should not be knowledge oriented. It should be skill oriented. Listen, we all are teachers and we have been into this profession for years, and we all know that domain knowledge has an expiry date. Things which I learned 25, 30 years ago, will they work as it is right now? No, no way. So we are here to build learners. A student is expected to be a good learner. and for which the orientation of a teacher should not be knowledge oriented, it should be skill oriented, for which we need to reskill ourselves with innovation skills, not major innovations जिसके लिए patent किया जाता है. I am talking about the micro innovation जो field में किया जाता है. I mean, just as I have mentioned a particular example, with the way you ask the question, you need to bring in a small innovation. The way you ask question, these kind of micro innovations in the classroom will make a bigger impact in case of the outcome-based education. Our assessment or evaluation methods need a sea change. I mean, in this particular crisis time for the last 4 months, now it is very, very urgent, because we assess students to grade them, whereas the objective is to reinforce learning. That has to be objective. That has to be the purpose of assessment. The purpose of assessment is not grading student. That is not grading student. Okay. The objectivity in assessment should be based on the critical thinking capabilities. Do not ask or do not force or do not compel students to remember and write. Pose the questions, ask the questions in such a way that he will be forced to think and write. And that is the need. That will make your OBE better, your outcome-based education better. The educational process under OBE is based on these 3 skills. That is proactive approach, innovation, and objectivity. These are the primary things that we need to look at. Now coming to this thing, that is, since we were talking about the changing role of teachers, I thought the latest development that has taken place, development to बोल नहीं सकते, latest deterioration that has taken place, okay, that will also add something to our roles, and these are the impacts that we normally come across. Classroom teaching होगा नहीं होगा, digitization is happening, our technological limitations as a person, as an institution, as a setup, as a society, we all have these limitations. We need to refine our evaluation methods, and we need to deal with the students' dilemma. And this is how I redefine a role of teachers. Coming to the end of the session, there's nothing new. If you read out this slide, there's nothing new. And this I mentioned in the beginning of this session. This is nothing new. What has changed, rather what has to change, is our approach. That has to change. That has to change. I mean, from teacher, you need to get to a facilitator's role. Now, what do I need to facilitate when I say we need to get into a facilitator's role? Okay. You need to ensure smooth conduct of learning process. That is our role. Ensuring smooth conduct of the learning process of a student. The kind of hindrances, the kind of barriers that students normally face in learning need to be removed by the teacher. He has plenty of sources of information, but he doesn't understand what is right and what is wrong. There our role comes in. How to browse the information. If you ask for a particular thing to Google, Google will Google will not give you solution. Google will confuse you. Google will confuse you. आप एक चीज पूछते हो 12,000 पेज खोल के रख देता है, and then you go crazy. You forget that what you were searching, and you're dragged to something else. That needs to be controlled by the facilitator. That is happening with the students also. If that is happening to us, that is happening to the students also, and that needs to be controlled. And there, a role of the teacher as a facilitator comes in. We need to play a role of mentor. Yes, definitely. What do we need to have to play mentor? So, listening skills. We are bad at this. We are extremely bad at this. I feel so, what do you say? We do not enjoy this kind of teaching. We do not enjoy this kind of teaching because only I am speaking. I'm not able to listen to anyone else. Does this happen in the classroom? That doesn't happen in the classroom. In the classroom, keep quiet, keep quiet, keep quiet. Chup baito. Silence, please. Every 5 minutes we have to. क्यों करते हैं? Because we don't like to listen. Let us accept this. Let us accept this. We don't like to listen. बच्चा आता है with some problems. हाँ बोल जल्दी बोल. The moment you say बोल जल्दी बोल, 50% तो वही गया वो. So if you want to mentor the student, you need to improve your listening skills. Our listening skills will encourage a student to come to us, will encourage a student to share his problems with us, and then only we'll be able to provide him a solution. Otherwise not. Performer, yes, a class is an audience and you are a performer. You need to conduct class in such a way that you engage students all the time. Because we all know that day by day the attention span of students is lessening. And hence, keeping them attracted to the teacher has become a challenge. Trust me, that has become a challenge. And for that, a teacher has to become a performer. मजाक में बोलते भी हम लोग, क्लास में डांस करना पड़ता है तो करो, लेकिन बच्चों को बोर नहीं होना चाहिए. That is another change in the role. As an assessor, our role has already been changed, and it will change under OB. It will drastically change under OB, because we check the answer books in a different fashion. Now, if the questions are not going to be in the same fashion, the answers are not going to be the same fashion. And if the answers are not going to be the same fashion, you cannot check the answer books in the same fashion, because that will be a great injustice to the student. So that role will also be changing. We need to be a proactive learner, because if all these things have to take place, a lot of new things we will be required to learn, a lot of new things, and hence complacence in terms of knowledge or skills cannot be tolerated. We will have to keep learning newer things as they come, and that only will make us a better teacher. With this, I think, yeah, I'm done. It's 12. Okay. Thank you very much for your patient listening. I'm open to the question. Thanks a lot.
Jitkar ma'am. Jitkar ma'am. Jitkar ma'am, are there
Yes,
any
yes,
questions?
I am here. Yes, yes,
Particip-
yes. The host has muted me. Anyway. Yes, sir. A question from Shilpi Bhatia. Sir, if assessment is a gathering of evidence of past knowledge, in that case, evidence means answer sheet or evidence in what terms?
Evidence of learning. Again, we are coming to the paper. Precisely, यही बात बोलना चाह रहा था. We are coming to the paper. Evidence is learning. You ask the question of student whether it is written or verbal is not important. Is not important. You can have a descriptive question, you can have a multiple choice question, you can have any kind of question, you can have a small activity, you can have an activity like reading a news item and writing review, anything. That is assessment. If I have explained a particular concept, let us say law of demand, and I want to find out whether the student has learned it or not, has understood this or not, then I can ask him a question, I can ask him to conduct an activity, I can ask him to solve a quiz, I can ask him to play a game, which will, the performance of the student in which will communicate me whether he has understood this concept or not. That is what is evidence gathering.
Yes,
I
sir.
hope that makes sense.
Yes. Thank you. And there's one more question. Teachers want to share knowledge, but students, parents, society, and system seems expecting teachers to share only information to the students. Sir, don't you think there's a larger systemic disorder in our over education system in the country? He is Rameshwar Singh, assistant professor for DM College of Arts, Imphal.
Okay. The answer will be interesting, but it's going to be philosophical. It's going to be philosophical nature. Because listen, it is all a game of expectations. I admit my child to the school with an expectation that from this kind of school he will get these kind of grades. Here from he will get into this kind of profession, and he'll learn this. He'll earn this much. As a parent, that is my expectation. And now this expectation is communicated to the teacher through n number of parent-teacher meetings. And finally, these expectations enter the brain of the teacher. And there actually deterioration takes place. Otherwise, as a teacher, I was clear with my objective. So rightly asked, कि ये parent से आता है, ये society से आता है. Yes, there is there. But correcting them is whose responsibility? Accepting their expectations and meeting them as it is, provided they are wrong, then the blame will be on teachers. Definitely.
Mahesh sir, any more questions from the YouTube side?
Ma'am, just a minute.
Participants who are raising hands, can you please type your questions?
Madam, had you done with all the question answer?
I mean, in the question answer box, I have got 7. Whatever I have got, yes, that is
Okay.
done.
Okay.
I mean, I would like to have questions from the YouTube side.
Okay. Sir, there is one more question. Is there any difference in approach of the teachers of government institutions and private institutions?
Yes, 100%. Acharya Drone was the first government teacher of Bharat, India. He was the first government teacher. I mean, थोड़ा सा mythology में लेके जाता हूँ, it will make it a little light. Ram went to Vishwamitra for learning. Krishna went to Santimuni's ashram for learning. But Dronacharya was invited to the Hastinapur to teach Duryodhana. That is the government teacher. He did not allow he did not allow Eklavya, for which he is always blamed. But it was not his fault. स्कूल के रूल्स है भाई, हम भी वही कर रहे हैं. So a government teacher is more bound in the rules. A private institute teacher is bound in a different set of rules, जहां पर थोड़ी liberty मिलती है. That is the primary difference. Anything else?
There's
Okay.
one more question,
Sir,
sir.
next
What are the... Acha, Mahesh, you just carry on.
Sir, how to bring objectivity in assessment?
Objectivity in assessment. Okay.
हाँ.
This will start with designing questions. I mean, you need to change the way you ask questions. I mean, the Bloom's taxonomy, if you read, you'll understand all that. That is mentioned there. Okay. You cannot generalize questions. Be a little more specific. When I ask a question, I need to visualize the kind of answer that I expect. I need to visualize it. If you remember, I mean, many of the participants probably are from Nagpur University teaching to different MBA programs, that we have prepared and floated a question bank, and wherein we have given expected answers. That I need to understand, I need to visualize that this is the kind of answer that, don't stick to it, but you need to visualize the answer. I need to know that what am I checking, what am I trying to assess, that I need to understand first. If I am able to do that, then it will bring objectivity. This is at the end of designing a question. At the time of evaluating, checking the answer, again objectivity needs to be there. It has to be there. What are you checking for? Are you checking for language? Are you checking for content? What is it? I'll just give a small example that a child in school these days do not get full marks if they write in their own language. That is my personal experience. My daughter writes, she cannot reproduce. The younger one, she cannot reproduce. She will always write in her language. So will this be encouraged or discouraged? Because if you are reproducing the definition that is given in the book, that is not adding any value. If a child is writing in his own language, the child is trying to express. So do we encourage expression or not? So do not under a strict window. या ऐसा ही होना चाहिए. नहीं. That is not objectivity. Objectivity is you be objective as an examiner. You be objective. What are you there for? My approach should be objective. Objectivity का मतलब ये ABCD नहीं होगा. Anything else?
There's one more question. This is from Preeti Pandey. What are different tools for online assessment and how to measure effectiveness?
Effectiveness of what? I didn't get it. Online tools
yes,
I'll answer.
assessment
Online tools are answer. Assessment ke online tools. There are various online tools nowadays. Okay, right from Google Forms or Google Quiz. There are plenty. But again, proctoring is an issue, and I think we need to come out of this. I really need. I mean, whether you are copying it or not, I don't need to change. If you look at the entire governance of education in India, it is moving from compliance to trust. It is moving from compliance to trust. आप देख लीजिए पिछले 5-7 सालों में, last 5-7 years, AICTE की inspection हुई है कि किसी के? They ask you the data, you give it, and they trust you. The governance is, अब आप छूट देते होंगे तो आपका पाप पुण्य है. We are, I mean, experiencing number of engineering colleges, those are shutting down. That is their problem in life. They'll face it. So examination भी मुझे ऐसा लगता है, it may be something radical, but that is my strong perception. That is my strong view rather. ठीक है कि ये invigilation और proctoring, we need to come out of this. मैंने क्वेश्चनर मेल कर दिया उसको, बच्चे को, इतना आसान हो सकता है वो, तू जवाब बना के दे दे. अब तुझे प्रॉक्टर करूं मैं, उसका मैकेनिज्म अलग से. देयर आर सॉफ्टवेयर्स, देयर आर प्लेंटी सॉफ्टवेयर्स अवेलेबल. वीबॉक्स का है एंड नेक्स्ट सेम भी है. देयर आर प्लेंटी सॉफ्टवेयर्स which are there for proctored examination.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir. There is, I think, the similar question from Assistant Professor Libana Gracie. She has asked the same question, I think, close to it. That, sir, this is Libana Gracie, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce and Management. What are the different tools or methods of teaching online? I think similar question. If you
that is already answered.
Sir, one more question from Dr. Atul Chade. How to deal with performance of the teachers in online teaching?
Performance of teacher
in online teaching.
In online teaching. Okay. Easiest है वो तो. That is easiest because all online classes can be recorded. You are recording my session. That is the easiest way. Again, coming to, I mean, taking this question to a different level. What do you mean by performance of a teacher? What do you mean? Why am I performing? What am I performing for? If I teach in a class, what am I performing for? किस चीज के लिए परफॉर्म कर रहा हूं मैं? That needs to be understood. Who is checking my performance and what is the objective of checking my performance? Okay, will define what kind of mechanism can be devised for it. I hope, Atul, I made it very candid.
There's one more question, the other side of the play. How to assess the learning or understanding of students in online teaching?
Sorry, I didn't get it.
How to assess the learning or understanding of students in online teaching? How do you know that they are learning? Whatever, I think.
Okay. Again, coming back to the same thing, that how do you come to know whether they have learned or not? You have to assess them.
Like for the online
teaching. This assessment can be in the form of, I mean, online or offline. Both ways you can assess them. Not always a questionnaire, not always an examination. जैसा मैंने आपको बताया कि भी you can ask the student to perform a particular task and you can assess it. You have to observe it. You will require to be more observant if you want to assess whether the student has learned or not. The observation skills of the teachers are also required to be sharpened.
Any more questions, sir? Mahesh, sir?
Shambekar, sir, can case study based teaching be used for skill development?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. One more question from Ms. Ruchira Ray. There is any skill development program for digital education?
Yeah, plenty of them. Yes. They are there. Find it on Coursera. On Coursera you have it.
Okay. Next question is from Dr. Ankita Tiwari. Sir, give us idea over the evaluation components. Which component should be used for grading?
Could you please repeat?
Sir, give us idea over the evaluation components. Which
Evaluation-
component should be used for grading?
Evaluation components will be determined on the basis of the outcomes that you define. There cannot be one standard formula कि इसमें इतना ये component होना चाहिए. No. There are courses, I mean subjects, wherein the internal external proportion could be 80 internal and 20 external. That is also possible. That is what I was trying to tell you. There cannot be one single formula in outcome-based education. There is a lot of subjectivity. Every time, what is your outcome will determine what are going to be the evaluation components. The way managerial economics is assessed, principles of management cannot be assessed. It has to be assessed in a different way.
Okay. One more question is from Suchitra Labane, madam. Hello.
Yeah. Sure.
Sir, one more question is from Suchitra Labane, madam. How will we evaluate students who are learning online? I think.
I already have answered that.
Okay. Next question is from Hari Narayan Das. Can we think of formal education without exam?
Sorry?
Can we think of formal education without exam?
Actually, we should. It could be quite radical, but गुरुकुल में कहाँ होती थी एग्जाम? गुरुकुल में कहाँ होती थी एग्जाम? We can think of.
Okay. Next question is from Dr. Saloni Raheja. How to deal with numerical subjects while teaching online?
Yeah, definitely. I faced this problem when I took my first class on Zoom, this session. Yeah, I'm sharing my screen now. If I'm able to share my screen, I open the Word document and I use it as a whiteboard.
Okay.
No problems.
Any more questions, sir?
I think we're done with the questions, ma'am.
Yeah. Even
Sir, ma'am, one last question is from Mr. Deepak Bhugade. Is it possible university compulsory add one activity in per lecture in classroom or outside the classroom? Because lecture duration is still 40 to 50 minutes.
भिवगड़े सर जवाब दे तो आपका करने में कोई हर्ज नहीं है, लेकिन मत करवाइएगा. उसकी वजह से the moment you make it compulsory, it becomes a compliance. And the moment it becomes a compliance, it becomes a tick mark. ये चीजें वॉलंटरी होती है तो ही इफेक्टिव है. ये कंपल्सरी होती है तो नहीं होती है अच्छी. ट्रस्ट मी ऑन दिस.
Okay. Next question is from Harsha Merchant, madam, who is the principal of B.Ed College at Mumbai. Research should not be need base of the education system, isn't it?
I didn't get it, Mahesh. Research
should not be made the base for the education
should be
system.
On need base of the education system.
Need based. Okay. I mean the qualification criteria. Yes, that's what I was referring to, the earlier question. The moment you make it compulsory, it becomes a compliance. Research के साथ भी यही हुआ है ना. साल में 2 पेपर चाहिए तो कुछ भी छाप दो. I want to find an answer, hence I am carrying research. ये जो है, this is happening very less. बाकी साल के 2 ये हिसाब से बनते हैं पेपर्स. It should be need based. It should be need based. It should not be compulsory.
Okay.
Swati madam, are you there?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Please proceed with yeah, formal. Thanks.
Yeah. So before I start with my Thanksgiving note for you, sir, let me tell you that there are loads of accolades and appreciations from all over the world for you. That there are few things like this. They want one more session of yours. So
Thank you.
when we arrange for another webinar, I think you will be the first one to be invited.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much.
Yes, sir. So as I had already was expecting that sir's session is going to be an eye opener as well as the ear pinching session. But modestly speaking, sir, the opening statement itself was the first jerk, and the thing that you said that it's a motherly profession and we build generation. So two hilarious anecdotes that it came to my mind were, I remember when we started teaching. Am I audible? Yeah. When we started teaching, people used to say that if you cannot do anything, then teach. And many things.
माता से भीक तो मास्टर की सीख.
Yes.
ये
Yes,
मराठी
sir.
विषय है.
Yes, sir. Yes. This is what used to be the thing. But the first sentence that it's a motherly profession and we are building generation is a great honor that you have vested on all our teachers with rightly ear-opening things which you have put into your thing. So you have very aptly noted the holistic development of the student, and for which I think the core and the soul of the teacher is needed for the involvement level. You have elevated the role of teacher from just the bread earner to the faculty or a job holder to a majestic role of building generation and holistic development of the students. And you have rightly pointed out that now the OBE has become OOP, outcome on paper, and the microscopic mental play that you have actually made a point on or emphasized on, the interplay between the details of the delivery and the comprehension, which shows that teachers are not to be just qualified, but they have to really learn the process of learning before they enter the classroom. So it was, as expected, a great informative session, a great eye-opening session, and a very quality input as far as the teachers who actually want to grow in their profession. So no words to thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your time and your knowledge sharing.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I leave the meeting now?
Yeah, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mahesh. Thank you, Swati.
Yes.
Thank you all.